What's up, guys? I am here today with a different kind of video. This is kind of sorta a weapon review video, but it's not as much about the weapon as much as it is about how the weapon interacts with other mechanics in the game thanks to changes. If you've ever wanted to paint a room purple and then call down lightning, you're gonna want this gun. And especially with the artifact that's going on right now, it's even more powerful. It is the Reckless Oracle. I will get to that straight away. It is farmable from the second encounter of the Garden of Salvation. It can be farmed multiple times per week when that is the featured raid, but otherwise you can acquire it by completing that second encounter. You have a chance to get it. You can get your red borders. You can craft it, which is sensational because there is one particular perk on this weapon that really matters, and that is in the third column. That is Destabilizing Rounds. Destabilizing Rounds was recently buffed to the effect that the cooldown was reduced on destabilizing, on the ability for the effect to be used, down to 1.5 seconds. I believe it used to be 3 seconds, so that time basically got cut in half. The difference now, though, is when you get weapon kills that cause enemies to explode, you apply Volatile to enemies within 6.5 meters, just like Destabilizing Rounds used to do. But if the explosion applies Volatile to a nearby enemy, you now get Volatile Rounds for 4.5 seconds or 5.25 if you have it enhanced. This is a huge difference maker. The issue with Destabilizing previously was you kind of got a small group of ads Volatile, you kind of dealt with that, and that was it. You were done. Now you get Volatile Rounds whenever you apply Volatile to those enemies. One, that makes this weapon immediately anti-barrier, which makes it a great anti-champion option. Two, you are now applying Volatile to every enemy you shoot with this weapon, which in turn makes them explode. Three, by the time your Volatile has worn off, especially when enhanced, you could have activated Destabilizing Rounds an additional 2 to 3 times, which means you're extending the life of being able to Volatile enemies. You can clear huge swaths of the room, and again, you can just paint everything purple. The changes to Destabilizing Rounds is one of my favorite changes that Bungie has made to the sandbox in the entire history of Destiny. Destabilizing Rounds is such an incredibly fun perk to interact with, and while there are a lot of weapons that can roll with this perk and are effective with this perk, Reckless Oracle has a lot going for it specifically that makes it sometimes a slightly better option than some of the competition. The photo inhibition origin trait, which I talked about in my Prophet of Doom review, allows weapons with the origin trait to deal bonus damage to combatant shields. The benefit of that, of course, is being able to deal with more difficult enemies, deal more damage to shielded enemies, which are more frequent in more difficult content. So passively, you're getting a 34.3% increase against PvE combatant elemental shields and barrier champion shields, which again, now that you're getting Volatile, you have a highly potent anti-barrier primary, which you can just bring into the current slate of GMs and be totally fine. It's pretty sweet. You also get an increase in damage against overshields, PvE combatant overshields, 21.6%. That, combined with Destabilizing, just means that you're able to kill more enemies effectively, proc Destabilizing, and again, continue to spread that Volatile. The benefit of having Volatile at the tip of your fingers comes from Bolt Charge, which is a very different type of perk. Bolt Charge is a new arc verb, which doesn't inherently interact with Void at all. I will post a image here that is the breakdown of what Bolt Charge is from the January 16th TWID. To summarize, when you get a stack of Bolt Charge, whether it be from a weapon perk like Rolling Storm or via an aspect or a fragment that grants you Bolt Charge, dealing damage with weapons increases your stacks of Bolt Charge. And when you get to 10 stacks, abilities will proc that Bolt Charge. So if you melee, if you do, whether it's powered or not, if you throw a grenade, if you use a super, you're going to call down a very powerful bolt of lightning on that target. The beautiful thing about Volatile Rounds is that Volatile is a verb for void, which means it is treated the same as an ability effect. So, while you have Bolt Charge, normally you would have to throw a grenade or something, or have to be standing behind a Titan barricade that has the aspect and you can proc it with your weapons. But now you can get Bolt Charged, defeat an enemy with Destabilizing rounds, proc Volatile on those enemies, and then call down the Bolt Charge on those enemies. Now again, these perks are effective with other verbs, so if you jolt a target, for example, that will also proc Bolt Charge. It is not exclusive to this particular interaction. However, there are a few perks in the artifact that make this particular combination of events far more potent than it normally would be. The first of them being the Volatile Marksman artifact perk. Rapid Void Precision hits and Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows grant Volatile rounds. So even if you haven't been able to successfully proc Destabilizing rounds yet, you can deal consistent damage to a target, and as long as they are precision hits, you will eventually proc Volatile on them, which is highly effective against, say, majors, against bosses, mini-bosses. You can consistently have a means of proccing that Bolt Charge. For the Titans in the crowd, there is a boost that you can activate within your Tome of Want that allows volatile detonations to grant class ability energy, which means you can keep your Storm's Keep barricade up even longer and continue to benefit from the effects of Bolt Charge. On top of that, we have perks like Malignant Harvest. Rapidly applying Volatile causes your next instance of void weapon damage to create a weakening burst. So now, not only are you getting Volatile rounds, causing Volatile with a void weapon, such as Reckless Oracle, causes a weakening burst. So now you've made those enemies even more vulnerable, and you're calling down lightning on them, just absolutely ruining their day. But wait, there's more. You can also have the Flashover perk. When gaining maximum Bolt Charge, you also become Amplified, which Amplified got a huge boost, now applying damage reduction, as well as the general ability to make enemies slightly less accurate when targeting you. And that's on top of the bonus movement and the handling and reload buffs you get from being Amplified. Lightning Bolts, aka your Bolt Charge, now deal more damage. And the machine keeps going. Defibrillating Blast. You couldn't say it either. Stunning a champion grants maximum stacks of Bolt Charge. Triggers an Arc Bolt that heals you and jolts combatants that it damages. So now, you're already interacting with Bolt Charge. You already have a consistent way to get it. Now you can get max stacks by stunning a champion with, guess what? Volatile rounds on a barrier champion. Now you can jolt that combatant, giving you even more overall damage by continually proccing that jolt, and also giving you an additional source to proc future Bolt Charge. It's all coming together. And then for those among you who maybe don't see particle reconstruction as valuable, maybe you don't have Queen Breaker, you're just like, you know what, I don't care to interact with that thing. There is also Void Flux Defeating weakened targets with a void weapon applies volatile to nearby targets. Powerful targets increase the radius of the explosion. You're looking at a perk that bounces perfectly off of Malignant Harvest, and those perks are just going to keep feeding into each other over and over and over again until only you are left satisfied and your enemies lay dead before you. As far as what you should be rolling on Reckless Oracle, without a doubt, Destabilizing Rounds. That is locked in. I think that is the perfect option. I wouldn't recommend anything else in the third column, especially with how potent the perk is and with all of the options you have in the artifact. You would be foolish to select anything else. My personal role is Arrowhead Break, Ricochet Rounds. Go figure. Arrowhead Break, Ricochet Rounds. Wow. Real original. I get it. Destabilizing Rounds and Paracausal Affinity. Paracausal Affinity is a perk I love because it is easy to activate and is a great damage buff. Scoring a kill from any source matching the elemental alignment of the weapon grants a 20% damage bonus for 6 seconds. What that means for those who haven't, run Ron, this is a relatively new perk in other perk pools. I believe it is also in the Sunder Doctrine pool. Yes, it is. When it says matching elemental alignment, it doesn't mean void. We're not talking golden tricorn. We are talking light alignment versus darkness alignment. So if I throw my arc grenade and get a kill with it, or use a thunderclap, I am activating Paracausal Affinity on my Reckless Oracle. Any kills my Reckless Oracle gets activate Paracausal Affinity. My Thunderlord activates Paracausal Affinity. It is so easy to activate. When enhanced, it is a 7-second damage buff. It is 20% damage for basically free. Just kill something with anything light, whether it is the gun or an ability, and you are set. You have damage. This is one of the few weapons that can pair Destabilizing Rounds with a potent damage perk. And so you absolutely should take advantage. I know the popular pick is Repulsor Brace. I would not do that. If I am picking any perks on this, I am going with a damage perk. I would recommend Paracausal Affinity number 1. One for All is a close second. It is a higher damage perk and it does have a longer duration, but the buff duration cannot be refreshed, and it does not help you in a scenario where there are less than 3 enemies. So if you're fighting a boss or something, you're not going to benefit from that. Whereas with Paracausal Affinity, if you are trying to continually proc, like I love to do it on the lock set, when I am applying Anarchy, I pull out my Reckless Oracle and I just start critting the boss. And I keep proccing Volatile Marksman to get my class ability back so I can launch more Exodus rockets. One for All isn't going to do anything for me in that scenario, but if I want to look down and kill a quick ad, if I want to shoot that Acolyte who's in the back, or the Attendant, I'm just going to take them out real quick and get back to shooting. I've got a 7-second buff. I'm not looking around for the 3 nearest enemies. I kill one guy and I'm back to it, if I want to go that route. The other option that I would recommend is Kill Clip, just because it is a good damage perk. It is reliable. It's 25%. All you have to do is reload. You're going to be getting a lot of kills with this weapon in general, especially if you're killing trash. It's free damage. I would recommend them in that order. However, Swashbuckler is a potential 4th pick, especially if you're on a melee-heavy build and you are running a light-focused melee. Swashbuckler could be a good option. It's a 33% damage buff. When enhanced, it is for 6.5 seconds. But it's a little short, and Swashbuckler's never been my favorite. Neither has Adrenaline Junkie. I'm not going to get too deep into that right now. They're just not perks that I have generally had the best interaction with. I like my immediate gratification. I like my frenzies. I like my Paracausal Affinity. Things like that. This is such a great weapon, and I don't think I'm going to take it off. Despite my plans to pump kills into my Delicate Tomb, the moment I put on Reckless Oracle and really started playing around with Bolt Charge, especially as an Arc Titan, there's no going back. This is, for the foreseeable future, my main weapon. And it's going to take a lot for Bungie to release something that gets me to put this thing down. I do have my eye on that SMG in Act 2, the Strand one, but we'll get to that when Act 2 comes out. If you guys have any other recommendations for destabilizing weapons, for those who maybe don't want to run the raid, don't want to craft for whatever reason, leave them in the comments. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are looking for the best way to maximize this artifact and the 1-2 punch of Volatile and Bolt Charge. So please leave those in the comments. Help each other out. It's the best thing we can do. And if you guys enjoyed the video, I don't ask often, but please give it a like. It really helps. It makes me feel good. I don't know about you guys, but I really like to see the likes go up. I'm a huge fan. And yeah, you guys can check me out on Twitch if you're into that. Twitch.tv/NightmareCV. Always in the description. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.